Welcome to Exchange 2021 Virtual Roadshow and the session today, Cloud, AI and Automation, how Electrolux is modernizing their contact centers across Europe. I'm George Smith, Director of Channels and Alliances at Cyara, and I'm joined today by Juliano Tripodi. I'm Agile Delivery Lead at Electrolux. Juliano, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Oh, fantastic. Look, let's start. Can you give us a quick overview of Electrolux and your role there?
Yeah, of course. So currently we are in the acceleration phase of our consumer-centric program that has the main target, the rollout of a modern application stack and process all over the Europe. Some of our business critical process under our umbrella are the contact center, field services operations, as well as marketing and identity management. And the role of my team in this program is to secure a smooth end-to-end delivery, high quality and stable solutions, including build, testing, technical deployments, and what is more critical, of course, without any business disruption.
Of course, of course. So tell us about your contact center at Electrolux.
Okay, basically our contact centers are spread all over Europe, and we support pretty much all European languages based on contact center localization. And just to give you an idea of sizing, at the end of the program, we are expecting that our rollout will be covering around 3,000 contact center agents. And for that reason, it's worth to mention that even though we have a central team mainly focusing on standardization of process, looking at the big picture in each country, they will find challenges and they have their own staff at countries, their own processes, particularities, and legal requirements as well. So that consequently makes our life a bit more complex to standardize their process. And on the technology side, we are talking about a complex cloud hybrid environment containing SaaS applications, on-premise, in-house development, microservices, and consumer-facing AI layer.
Wow, that is a very broad scope there. So you mentioned a rollout across Europe with a consumer-facing AI layer. So what channels do your customers engage with you on, and how many languages, for instance, do you need to develop and support for that AI layer?
Yeah, so as we are in the journey of rolling out our omni-channel platform, the channels in scope are phone, chat through our brand websites and as well as social media. And in addition to that, we have also email that lands directly in the queue for the agent. Regarding the languages, I can say that besides English, we expect to cover pretty much all European languages in those countries we are operating. So it means that both our omni-channel platform and AI automation should be able to cover the full scope.
Wow. So tell us then, why did you decide to move to Genesys Cloud platform, and what's your approach to rolling it out?
Okay, it all comes to the fact that Genesys is just a piece of this big engine, and we call it a consumer-centric program, as I told you. So in order to have more visibility of what is happening in the ground, as well as provide more pleasant user experience to our end consumers, which is aligned with our business strategy, we decided to move to a more specialized solution to leverage the capabilities we are looking for and improve the overall customer experience we are delivering. And what comes next is that after running a successful pilot and stabilizing the template, we switched to an acceleration mode, so to say, moving the full solution in waves to the remaining European countries. And it means that our scope will continue growing in size, but also in consequence complexity due to a specific mandatory country setup.
And so how does Google AI play a role in this?
So regardless of the channel, when you as an Electrolux consumer is reaching out to us, you should be able to have the same quality of consumer experience. And here the artificial intelligence is helping us to have the contact center agents to focus on what really matters. And the introduction of our omni-channel solution for them. So an example that I can give you that clearly states that is that previously in our contact center, we had the agents interacting through chat with a consumer straight away when the chat started. And however, now with the introduction of the AI layer, before reaching out an agent, the chatbot has improved how we collect basic information like personal data, intent recognition, in order to optimize the routing and have a case directly to the agent with the right skill set.
So how did you determine then that Cyara should be part of the migration process?
Yeah, actually, this only came into picture in the middle of our rollout project, in which we realized that in the long term, it would not be feasible to test manually our end-to-end solution at a certain stage of our rollout program. When you are just live in a couple of countries, of course, test automation brings you some of the benefits. However, taking into consideration that it was just a matter of time for us to be covering a much larger number of contact centers, we had to start early and reach the desired maturity level even before we need that.
So I'm really fascinated on this point. So I'm guessing as you're rolling out across Europe, you're developing the CX design, improving, enhancing it, and it's not static. And at the same time, I guess you're continuously developing the voice bots, the chat bots, while you're rolling out your templates across Europe.
Yeah, exactly. As you said, in parallel with the template rollout, we also have our continuous improvement track, and then looking at additional features and expanding the capabilities and scope for the bot. And every time something new is added in the scope, we need to update our automated suite, which puts this process of testing in the critical path if we want to keep its relevance. For this reason, we also propose the changes on the test organization. And we adapted to the new reality and do not leave any important or piece of this scope behind.
Okay, now I can see how your challenges must multiply as you're both developing and enhancing and rolling the solution out. So what were your challenges you were facing prior to working with Cyara, and how has the platform helped address these?
Well, I mentioned previously, testing is on the critical path of any software delivery. And considering that we are in a pilot, new technologies were merged into our existing complex architecture. So manual testing was taking too long to plan and execute, which would, by consequence, affect the overall timeline and leading us to extend resource allocation that can potentially affect budget as well quality. So we started with a small scope, taking only Cyara Velocity standard and focusing on the high priority test cases for IVR voice. Then, after noticing the benefits, we took the second step that was to expand it to the scope of our automation to upgrading Cyara to Velocity Premium and providing the end-to-end consumer journey to reach the actual agent on a testing case scenario. This helped us to also reduce the complicated automation architecture, as now we use Cyara's hosted virtual agent directly connected to Genesys Cloud to test and monitor our solution. And then another benefit that Cyara brought to us is that they support multiple languages, and this way we don't leave any country and that we needed to support out of our scope. And after doing that, we also realized that in the second step, we also needed to cover the stability of our live environment. And for this reason, we also adopted Cyara Pulse.
Wow, so you just mentioned then the end-to-end monitoring and adoption of CC Pulse. So as part of really that continuous customer experience monitoring of your production cloud environment. So can you give us some insight into why then this was included as part of this second step and how this has helped with your rollout?
Yeah. One of the challenges we faced, given various different technology stack and providers, was our inability to measure environment stability, and that results in a bad consumer experience. So traditionally, tickets were raised through an agent or a consumer complaining about something that was wrong with our solution, or even like service disruption in the contact centers. And then the day we turned on Cyara Pulse for our trial, we identified availability issues that neither the business or IT were aware of. Hence, Cyara Pulse is now definitely part of our rollout delivery and our DevOps process.
Great, that's fantastic. So tell us some benefits you've actually seen from moving to Genesys Cloud.
Okay, overall benefits I can highlight here of moving to Genesys Cloud is that we're talking about a specialized solution, and it's a software as a service application, and they have many years of expertise with contact center, which gives us the confidence that the product will be continuously enhanced, right? And we can always count on their pool of solution experts. And by the way, they were part of our pilot implementation, and we still keep them working with us in our rollout. So as well as having more flexibility with them and power to influence their product backlog based on our existing pain points or solution gaps that we identified from our side.
So how will automation and customer experience monitoring impact the project rollout?
Yeah, so overall benefits of our test automation, I can highlight from our side that we're talking about reducing our execution cycle from a couple of weeks to an overnight execution. So basically you can push a button and then the test results will be there when you arrive for working next morning. And then we also combine this with the increase on the test automation coverage, right? And then I can say that in addition to our improved quality, the allocation of resources were much less for both execution and maintenance of the test suite. And then this is what I can say mainly from my side on the test automation. But then when it comes to Cyara Pulse for monitoring live countries, we have now a clear visibility real time of our contact centers, due to the fact that we are triggering voice calls every minute, and we verify the quality of the call, integration that we have in the backend between Genesys and the AI layers, right through the agents. And then we ensure that everything is working as expected. So this way we shift from a reactive mode, and now we are more proactive, taking action even before any service disruption is brought to us by either the local teams or even a consumer, right? And which already happened, as I mentioned.
So any lessons or recommendations learned along the way you would like to impart with the audience?
Yes, absolutely. That we have for sure. And here I need to refer to my team that has worked really hard since from the beginning. They identified the solution, They helped to set up the strategy for the architecture and implementation. And then after having the planning done, we had to keep the pace to adopt that as well. And then the biggest challenge for us is that we had to run manual test execution in parallel with our pilot implementation. And then we also allocated the same resources, so we are talking about the same capacity that was automating the regression suit at the same time. And then you should not underestimate the power or complexity of also test automation, because it's a completely new world. We need to understand how that works. And it also requires dedicated and skilled resources to focus and get it done. Because after you manage to nail it from your side, then you will see really the benefits in the long term. And in our case, I can say that we found a good balance. We have a good structure behind an organization that can support in the long term. And then now I feel confident we can target more ambitious goals for the future.
That's great. So any recommendations for companies just starting with automated CX assurance?
Yeah, based on our journey so far, I can share that the alignment between the development team that maintains the IVR structure and contact center solution with the test engineers that are responsible for keeping the automated suite up to date is critical to keep the test both relevant as well as optimize the end-to-end delivery. And another very important point is to keep the test automation architecture as simple as possible and ensure that the automation team has the skill set you need to get the job done, and to reduce external dependencies from any other team, so you can speed up the work to be done from your side.
Thank you. So what are the future plans as you look at the rest of the year?
Okay, so if we look at our journey so far, the first priority was to cover voice channel, which is done. And then ongoing task is to get the agent desktop journey completed by June. And then we'll be in a good shape for the high priority scenarios. And then looking forward to our roadmap, we need to extend the coverage to other channels like email, chat, in which we still have some complexity in the existing architecture. And then finally, in our to-do list is to enable Cyara integrations with Jira for bug-related issues regarding testing automation. And then for supporting purpose, we needed to enable this integration with ServiceNow to automate ticket creation for monitoring purpose.
Thank you, Juliano, for joining us today and sharing your story. And thank you to all the attendees for joining us at the Exchange Virtual Roadshow. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to share our story with you today.
Great. Thank you.